In today's video, we are looking at Monster Hunter Wild CPU benchmarks. Keep in mind that this is still early tests, and in future updates, things will definitely change. So here is our test bench spec with a Ryzen 7 5700X that we will set to the equivalent CPU for this test, changing the frequency, wattage and amps to match the equivalent CPU. For our RAM, we will also overclock it to 3600 megatransfers. For our graphic settings, I wanted to use something that we will actually want to game on, and that setting would be 1080p high with FSR quality and frame generation off. Okay, so let's take a look at our CPU benchmarks. So for this test, we went running around in the first major town around 8 PM European time when the servers were full. And for the PS5, we got an average of 38 FPS. And the PlayStation 5 Pro, we got an average of 42 FPS. And next we have the AMD Ryzen 3 5100 XTX. And yes, this is something I just totally made up. And it's a 4.8 GHz, 4 core, 8 thread, 142 watt little beast. And it gets an average of 44 FPS. So this is where things get interesting, because from the 5600 to the 5800 XT, we get only an average of 47 FPS, meaning we've hit the wall. Now the thing is, this game is CPU bottleneck. It's heavy on the CPU, but it's also heavy on your GPU, and it wants to use a lot of VRAM. So for future updates, I would like to see that number sitting at least at a solid 60. Moving on to some live gameplay benchmarks with the same settings, just with frame generation turned on this time. You can see moving through the world, clearly the game is playable. The thing is, with frame generation, you want at least a solid 60 before you turn it on, so that you can get better FPS at the end of the day. Now, frame generation should not be used if you're only getting 30 FPS and switching it on will give you 60. That will be a very bad experience. Now, one thing I am extremely happy about this game is that it's got a very long shader compilation, and this helps for a lot of stutters. Now the thing is, I would rather sit and wait longer for that shader compilation to complete and have a smooth game than to have an unplayable, stuttery, broken game at the end of the day. So moving forward with next gen games, it is very important to have a proper shader compilation to have smooth gameplay. And I want the developers to know that there is no hardware on this planet that will compensate for the lack of optimization on your game. If you do not optimize your game properly, it will have performance issues. So developers, make sure you optimize your games, and I will see you in the future.